When a new medicine is developed, laboratory and animal studies provide important early information about its safety and biological activity. However, before a drug can be approved for use in patients, it must be carefully tested in humans. These human studies are known as clinical trials. In the Common Technical Document or CTD, all information related to human clinical trials is organized in Module 5, which contains the clinical data supporting the safety and effectiveness of a drug. Module 5 is one of the most important sections of a regulatory submission because it provides the evidence that demonstrates whether the medicine actually works in patients and whether it is safe for use. This module includes detailed documentation of the entire clinical development program. Within Module 5, three major components are particularly important: Phase 1 to Phase 3 clinical trial data, clinical study reports, and statistical summaries. Let's begin with Phase 1 to Phase 3 clinical trials. Clinical development usually progresses through several phases, each designed to answer specific scientific and medical questions. Phase 1 trials are the first studies conducted in humans. These trials typically involve a small number of healthy volunteers, usually between 20 and 100 participants. The main goal of Phase 1 studies is to evaluate the safety and tolerability of the drug. Researchers study how the drug is absorbed, distributed, metabolized, and eliminated in the body. They also determine safe dosage ranges and identify any early side effects. Once initial safety has been established, the drug moves into Phase 2 clinical trials. Phase 2 studies involve a larger group of participants, often several hundred patients who actually have the disease or condition that the drug is intended to treat. The primary goal of Phase 2 trials is to evaluate the effectiveness of the drug while continuing to monitor safety. Researchers also explore optimal dosing strategies and gather preliminary information about how well the treatment works. If the results from Phase 2 studies are promising, the drug proceeds to Phase 3 clinical trials. Phase 3 trials are large-scale studies involving hundreds or sometimes thousands of patients. These studies are designed to confirm the drug's effectiveness and further evaluate its safety in a broader population. In Phase 3 trials, the new treatment is often compared with existing standard therapies or with a placebo. These trials generate the critical evidence needed for regulatory authorities to determine whether the drug should be approved for medical use. Next, we move to clinical study reports, often referred to as CSRs. Clinical study reports are detailed documents that describe the design, conduct, analysis, and results of individual clinical trials. Each clinical study conducted during drug development must be documented in a comprehensive report. A typical CSR includes information such as the study objectives, patient eligibility criteria, study methodology, treatment protocols, and statistical analysis methods. The report also includes detailed results from the study, including safety data, efficacy outcomes, and any adverse events observed during the trial. Clinical study reports provide regulators with a complete and transparent record of how each clinical trial was conducted and what results were obtained. Because of their level of detail, CSRs can be extremely large documents, often hundreds or even thousands of pages long. Finally, Module 5 also contains statistical summaries. Statistical analysis plays a crucial role in clinical research because it allows scientists to interpret data objectively and determine whether the results of a study are meaningful. Statistical summaries combine data from clinical trials and present it in a clear and organized format. These summaries include analyses of treatment effectiveness, safety outcomes, and comparisons between treatment groups. For example, statistical summaries may evaluate whether the observed improvement in patients receiving the drug is significantly greater than the improvement seen in patients receiving a placebo or another therapy. They also analyze the frequency and severity of adverse events across different patient groups. By using statistical methods, researchers can determine whether the observed results are likely due to the drug itself rather than random variation. In summary, Module 5 of the CTD provides the clinical evidence that supports the approval of a new medicine. Phase 1 through Phase 3 trials generate the essential data on safety, dosing, and effectiveness in human patients. Clinical study reports provide detailed documentation of how each clinical trial was conducted and what results were obtained. Statistical summaries analyze the data from these trials and help regulators interpret the findings.